Hey, hey, Big O with the big mouth here. And it's Top 5 Tuesday. I'll give you my Power 5, top 5 rankings of NFL teams after week 15 action. Plus, we're going to get into last night's Monday Night Football game. Well, it kind of went like pretty much I'm sure a lot of people expected it to go. Then we're going to talk about the Browns. I don't like to bring them up right now, but we got to bring them up because we all know they're terrible, but who needs to go? Shedeur Sanders or Coach Stefanski? I'll discuss my thoughts on that. Plus, we'll preview the next college football game. We previewed one yesterday. We'll preview the next game, which will be Miami at Texas A&M. We're going to get into all that today here in the Total Sports Ozone. Big O with the big mouth coming at you on a Tuesday, December 16th. Can't believe it's 9 days to Christmas. And the time has gone fast. But that's what it's supposed to do, right? So let's get into it. Let's not waste no more time and get into it, shall we? Last night, Steelers took on the Dolphins, Monday Night Football. And it went pretty much as I thought it would go. Let's face it, the Dolphins are not a very good cold weather team. They're just not. And the proof is in the pudding. The proof is how they played in cold weather conditions. Let me give you a little tidbit. I found this out this morning. The Dolphins, after last night's 28-15 loss, have lost 24 straight games. 24 straight games where the game time temperature at kickoff was 40 degrees or less. 24 straight games that the Dolphins have lost in games where the game time temperature was 40 degrees Fahrenheit or less. They do not do well in cold weather. And I wish I knew why. I'm pretty sure Dolphins fans are wondering, why the hell can't we beat anybody when it's cold, snow? That's a problem, especially in the later months of the year, of the season. November, December. The Dolphins know they're going to have to play games against teams and games in cold weather conditions. They got to go to Buffalo, New England, New York. They're in the AFC East. They know at some point they're going to have to play one of those teams and maybe a couple others in just November and December up north in the cold. I'm thinking, why is it like that with the Dolphins? Why can't they win in cold weather? The Rams can. The Chargers can. They've proven it. And they play out in sunny Los Angeles in an indoor stadium. But they've proven they've come east in the cold and won. Or at the very least have been competitive. They've proven that. What's wrong with the Dolphins? Hell, even Tampa Bay has done that. Tampa Bay has gone into cold weather stadiums in December and November and have won games. What is wrong with the Dolphins? Why is it a conditioning thing? I mean, we know it don't get too cold in Miami. You never hardly ever hear about it being snow and 30 degrees, below freezing in Miami. But they know. They look at the schedule, the team, the coaches, the players. They know they're going to have to play some games in cold weather conditions. You would think that somewhere around October, when the weather starts getting a little chilly up north, that they will start conditioning themselves to play in those conditions. I don't know if it's some kind of body treatments they got to do, or playing in a practice in a freezing cold practice facility. Something to get their bodies acclimated to that cold weather so they can perform better when it's cold out there. Obviously, I guess that thought process is gone with the Dolphins, because they played like they didn't want to be up there in the cold weather. And you're thinking that the Dolphins, if they lose, they're out. No playoffs. And they have been playing well as of late. They won a few games. And this is a game to keep them alive, albeit faintly, but it keeps them alive in the playoff race. But they played like they didn't want to be in that cold weather. And it showed. If you saw the game last night, you saw. It was a very slow start for both teams. Neither team can move the ball very effectively in the first quarter, and then slowly but surely, the Steelers got it going. They got the running game going. Aaron Rodgers, for a brief snippet, or at least for one game, was the Aaron Rodgers that we knew from Green Bay. I mean, he was hitting on all his targets. Wasn't overthrowing the ball. No bad passes. And he had a pretty decent game. As a matter of fact, this last night's Steelers game was probably the best game they played on both sides of the ball all year long. They were efficient. After the first quarter, they were efficient on offense. They were running the ball effectively. Aaron Rodgers was throwing the ball. You're hitting all his targets. DK Metcalf, he even had three catches on 3 targets, but he had a nice little nifty touchdown catch when he made a couple of Dolphins players look silly on the juke steps. And it looked like they got rolling. The offense was clicking for the first time in a while. I've seen that offense click the way it did last night. Aaron Rodgers only missed 4 passes all night. Had 224 yards, had 2 touchdowns. He looked good. Let me look like this. He looked better. He looked probably the best he's looked all year, no doubt. And the defense, really didn't have to do much. I mean, yeah, they let the Dolphins score a couple of garbage time cut touchdowns in the fourth quarter when the game was pretty much all but decided. But the defense, they didn't help the Dolphins' cause at all, because all the defense had to do was just let the Dolphins play themselves out of this. And that's what they did. Tua Tagovailoa. He had 2 garbage time touchdown passes, 1 interception. He didn't play bad, but he didn't play good enough. And he had no help. He had no help from nobody. A-Chain only 60 yards. And he did better catching the ball than he did running the ball. He didn't have no help from anybody until it was too late. The Dolphins played like they didn't want to be there for about 3 quarters. And that's a testament to the coach. That's on the coach. In my eyes, the Dolphins played that way because of the coach. Coach should have, I don't know what he has to do, McDaniel, to motivate this team. I mean, when your season, when you lose, you're playing in a game where if you lose, you basically are done as far as playoff contention. You will be a little bit more motivated to go out there and play better than you did last night. And they didn't. And yeah, you can say they don't do well in cold weather. So what? That's the thing. That's what I'm going back to. Why? Why don't the Dolphins play at least decent in cold weather when they know they're going to be playing games in November and December in cold weather cities? They know this. They've known this for decades. What's the problem? You know it's going to be cold. Okay, acclimate yourself to the cold. That's what you do. In practice, practice like you playing. Practice like you're going to be playing. Practice in cold weather conditions. It ain't cold in Miami. So, make some artificial cold. Indoor facility, make it freezing cold. And make them practice in that. That's what you do. That's how you get your team ready to play in a cold weather city when you're a warm weather city team. You acclimate your players and the coaches. Everybody should be getting acclimated prior to going to this city and playing in the cold weather. Dolphins don't do. I don't know what the Dolphins do, but they don't do that, and it showed. It showed. They took a bad loss. I think it was a bad loss because, like I said, they have been playing really well past month or so. But this one knocked them out of this loss knocked them out of playoff contention. Knocked them out. So, as far as the Steelers, there's still a game up on the Ravens in the AFC North. So, this goes into my next topic. Who's going to win the AFC North? Who's going to win the AFC North? Because basically, if you look at the standings, the only way either the Ravens or the Steelers is going to, at this point, with the Steelers being 8-6, the Ravens being 7-7, the only way either one of these teams are going to get into the playoffs is they got to win the division. That's the only way. Neither one of them has a chance at the wild card. Not when you got the Jaguars. You got the Jaguars, Houston, Texas, the Chargers. The Indianapolis Colts. There are too many teams that they would have to leapfrog to try to get a wild card spot. So the only way either one of these two teams is going to make the playoffs is that they got to win the division. So who's going to do it? Is it going to be the Steelers or is it going to be the Ravens? These two teams play each other, I believe, the last game of the season, regular season, in Pittsburgh. But let's look at let's look at the two schedules. Look at the Steelers' schedule for the last 3 games. They got a tough one next week. They got to go to Detroit to take on the Lions. I don't think they got enough on defense to even slow the Lions down. The Lions are awfully good at home, especially on offense. Only one team has been able to slow them down on offense at home, and that was Green Bay on Thanksgiving. Other than that, they've been slaughtering teams offensively. They've been handing teams their butts in Ford Field, and I don't think the Steelers defense I don't think the Steelers will win that one. Then next they go to Cleveland. Well, where the Browns are playing this year, who knows? Who knows? But I'm pretty sure the odds makers and everybody else, all the pundits will say the Pittsburgh should be in Cleveland. And on paper, they will be right. And then they got that finale at home against the Ravens. So I don't see the Steelers beating the Lions. I don't see it. But the last two games, okay, they may not win against the Lions. They should beat the Browns. And who knows against the Ravens. Now, let's look at the Ravens' final three games. Pull it up here. The Ravens' final three games. They got New England at home next week. Then they got to go to Green Bay. That's not going to be easy. And then they got to go to Pittsburgh. So they got three tough games to finish out the season. Three toughies. And yes, they beat the Bengals to shut them out. But do you really think they're going to shut out the Patriots? Nope. Do you think they're going to shut out the Packers in Green Bay? Well, with the injuries that the Packers have accumulated with Michael Parsons, who knows? Who knows? That's an iffy game. And then that's the game that really much going to tell the tale. It could tell the tale. It's going to tell. This could decide who goes to the playoffs and who not. That last game. So the way I'm seeing it, both these teams are going to lose one game, at least one game, before they play each other again. I think they'll go one up and one down. So they'll stay one game. So the Ravens will still stay one game behind the Steelers. Okay? So it'll be that last game could be all or nothing. That's why I see it, the way I see it. But who I think will win the AFC North, I think it will be the Steelers. I think they'll hold on. Somehow they played better the last couple of weeks. You know, my problem with the Steelers, I hate the Steelers. Let's put it like that. But being objective here, like I like to do on my show, my problem with the Steelers is they've been like a yo-yo all year. Up and down, up and down. 1 week they're up. Look like they can beat anybody. Next week they're getting cremated. That's what they've been doing all year. It's like a never-ending roller coaster. A season long, up and down. So up until the last couple of weeks, I just didn't know what to expect from the Steelers from 1 week to the next. Up, down. Well, the last couple of weeks, they've been up. They beat Baltimore in Baltimore, even though that was a very controversial ending to that game. And then they took care of business last night against the Dolphins. So this may be Mike Tomlin and the Steelers giving you that finishing kick to the end of the season to get themselves in the playoffs. And let's face it, as much as I hate the Steelers, you got to respect the continuity, the longevity, they consistent, always there. They are always in the mix for 21 straight years. They've been always in the mix. If they win their next game, they will have 21 winning seasons or 21 seasons where they have not had a losing record. You got to respect that. You got to, as much as I hate the Steelers, you got to respect. You got to respect that continuity. To be that good, to be no worse than average, for 21 straight years in this league with free agency and parity and all that you got to deal with, and escalating salaries and whatnot. To be able to say you haven't had a losing season, since George W. Bush was president, that's saying something. You got to respect that. So, at this point, I don't see any reason why the Steelers shouldn't win this division. They have the little bit easier schedule than the Ravens. Ravens got 3 toughies. The Steelers, they got to go to Detroit, and then they got Cleveland before they see the Baltimore Ravens again. The Cleveland game could be probably like a warm-up, like a tune-up to that season finale at home against the Ravens. Who knows? But as it stands, right now the Steelers hold that one game, is holding on to that 1-game lead in the AFC North after last night's efficient 28-15 win over the Dolphins. Big O with the big mouth, Total Sports Ozone. Let's move on. And I didn't want to bring this up. I don't like bringing up the Browns. I don't like bringing them up, but the chat is going to be out there. It's definitely up there in the Cleveland media, sports media. And the big question is, who should go? As we all know, the Browns are 3-11, one of the worst teams in the league. They're one of the worst teams on offense. They're either at the bottom or near the bottom in almost every offensive category. Yards per game, points per game, quarterback efficiency rating, you name it. So who's the problem? What's the problem? Who should you all this be blamed on? Should it be blamed on the little carousel that they've had at quarterback? Basically, the carousel they've had at quarterback even this year. Remember, this year they started with Joe Flacco. Remember that? They started this year with Joe Flacco. Then after like 4 or 5 games, they shipped him off to Cincinnati. They already had shipped Kenny Pickett, who was supposed to be the backup to Joe Flacco. They shipped him off to, I believe, the Raiders. He gone. So now you got the 2 rookies, Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. So they start Dylan Gabriel. Played 6.5 games and was horrible. The Browns won 1 game. One out of those 6, they won 1. And he was horrible. I think his overall QB rating was like 70 something. It was horrible. Whatever it was horrible. The man had a hard time throwing screen passes. So, he gets hurt in the Baltimore game, concussion, or what have you. And now in comes the one everybody wanted to see, Shedeur Sanders. Of course, first half of the first game looks horrible. Second half of his first game, he looks horrible. Those interceptions, gets sacked, takes 2 bad sacks. Why? He was not prepared. Fine. Then, finally, after a week of prep, finally getting first, quarterback 1 snaps, actually having snaps with the starters, projected starters, he wins the game. Doesn't look great, but he doesn't look bad either. And goes out to beat the Raiders. Comes home. First home game as a starter. Looks bad. Doesn't look good. Gets beat up by the 49ers. Next game, he actually looks good. Almost led a comeback against the lowly Tennessee Titans. Almost led the comeback. So now everybody's like, we might have something here. Threw almost 400 yards. 3 touchdowns. Ran a touchdown. He looked good. Yeah. And remember what I said, if anybody remembers what I said last week when I was previewing the Bears and the Browns. I said, if Shedeur Sanders balls out against the Chicago Bears in cold weather conditions, whether they win or lose, if he gives a decent to great performance, he could shut up all this noise about the Browns potentially drafting another quarterback in the first round of next year's draft. That's what I said. He could shut most of that, if not all of that noise up. What happens? He goes out and has a really bad performance. Those 3 interceptions and sacked 5 times. No touchdowns. only led one drive where he had a couple of good throws that got him in field goal range, and that was it. And the Browns get pasted 31-3. So now here we are with 3 games remaining, and everybody's wondering who should go. Should it be Shedeur Sanders or should it be Kevin Stefanski? You ask me, it's simple. Stefanski got to go. The dude has had 11 quarterbacks since he's been the head coach. 11. He's had 11 starting quarterbacks since he became head coach back in, what was it, 2018, 2019? Something like that. 11. He started off with Baker Mayfield, and then it's been a revolving door ever since. And what has the Browns done in all that time? They have won 43 up to this point. Since he's been a head coach, they have won 43 of 98 games. 98 games, and they've won only 43 of them. They did make the playoffs twice, and actually won a game. Remember the 2020 COVID year when they went to Pittsburgh and knocked Ben Roethlisberger into retirement? Yeah, they won a game. But that's it. Those are the only 2 winning seasons that Kevin Stefanski has had as head coach of the Cleveland Browns. He actually won Coach of the Year both those years. But every other year he's been head coach of the Browns have averaged 12 losses. Averaged 12 losses. And they're on their way to losing anywhere from 12 to 14 games this year. My point is this. It don't even goddamn matter if they keep Shedeur Sanders or if they draft Mendoza or whoever. Coach got to go. He had opportunities. He's had his opportunities. He ain't done. You see the results. Y'all see the results. They're worse this year on offense than they were last year. And I didn't think that could be possible. What the Browns need. Shedeur Sanders, I believe Shedeur Sanders can play in this league. But he needs a head coach that believes in him and will put in a system tailored to Shedeur's strengths. And oh, by the way, it would be nice if the Browns drafted not 1, but 2 wide receivers. And it would also be even more nice if they improve the offensive line. It's either old or broke down. And it needs to be revamped. That's what needs to happen. That's all. That's all it needs to happen. That's what they need to do. Get rid of Stefanski and bring in an offensive-minded coach that will believe in Shedeur Sanders, believe in his potential, and put him in a position to succeed. Otherwise, what the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing? And if you don't believe it, and if the next head coach doesn't believe in Shedeur Sanders, okay, draft Mendoza then. But you better get him a receiver. Don't wait. You know you're not going to get him in free agency. That's out. So you're going to have to draft him. And you're going to have to develop him. But you're going to need to get a bona fide wide receiver in this next draft. And I'm saying you got 2 first-round picks. I would not wait till the 3rd or 4th round to draft a wide receiver when you know that's probably the worst position on the team besides offensive line. Matter of fact, next next draft, whoever's going to be the general manager, I don't know if Andrew Barrett is still going to be there. I don't even know if Stefanski is going to be there or not. He may be there. He may get fired. Who knows? But whoever the regime is going into the next draft, it should be all offense. When you rank last or next to last in almost every offensive category, you need to draft all offense. All offense. If you're going to draft a quarterback, fine, but you better draft a receiver. You better draft some offensive linemen. You better if you're going to get a new quarterback, put him in a position to succeed. Don't just throw him out there with his head spinning and him chasing his tail. That's what Stefanski and the coaching staff has done this year. And you see the results. That's what they've done. And you see the results. You see the results. They cannot. That's why I think Stefanski needs to be fired. Because he threw not one, but two quarterbacks out there. Oh, they wasn't ready. One you threw out there knowing he couldn't play. The other one, you didn't even prep him. You didn't even give him no first team snaps in practice. And then when you throw him out there, he looks bad. And then you got everybody blaming him. Stefanski is supposed to be the quarterback guru. That's why he was hired as head coach of the Browns, to turn the offense around. And he has had 11 quarterbacks to do that. He has yet to do it. He has yet to do it. It's time for him to go. I don't care about the 2-time coach of the year stuff. I don't care about that. You've had 11 quarterbacks, and you can't get one of them to succeed. Not one to succeed on more than a year basis. You got to go. Bye-bye. That's what I think should happen. I think Kevin Stefanski, they all had that Black Monday right after the season starts, right? Right after this regular season end, we have Black Monday where coaches get fired. Yeah, that's the day he should be gone. And, like I said, the next regime come in, if you're going to keep Shedeur Sanders, put him in a position to succeed. First off, rebuild the line and get him a wide receiver. Or maybe two. If you're going to draft a new quarterback, William B. Mendoza or whoever, put him in a position to succeed. Fix the O-line and draft a wide receiver. Maybe two. That's how I see it. But my personal feeling is, I think Shedeur Sanders can play. He just needs a coach that believes in him. And right now, that's not Kevin Stefanski. So he got to go. How do you think? What do you think about it? Drop me a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like it. I appreciate my subscribers. I guess you like what I'm saying. I'll continue to say it. And I appreciate all the love and support. So, drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. Big O with the big mouth. Total Sports Ozone. Now, we got to get into Top 5 Tuesday. Time to give you my top 5 NFL teams after week 15 in the National Football League. And like I keep saying it every week, this list is always fluid. I had to kick a couple of teams out this week of my top 5 because they took losses. I had to bring one down. But you'll see. I had to bring one down. You'll see. But here it is. Big O, top 5 NFL teams after week 15. I put the Buffalo Bills back in the top 5. after there's no way I could leave them out of my top 5 after the performance they did Sunday, coming back from 24-7 down at the half and scoring 28 points in the second half and holding New England to only 7 points in the second half to come back and get a humongous division road win that keeps them online to be able to pick off the Patriots and win that division. It was a game they needed, and they got it. And they had to, but I like the fight in the Bills. Josh Allen, he showed you in that game why he's the reigning league MVP. He refused to lose. That second half, it was all about Josh Allen. It was all about Cook in the running game. They was not going to lose, and they played that way. So I stuck Buffalo back into my top 5. Number 4, even though they blew a 24-7 lead at home, 21-point lead at one point at home where they could have won the division, I still kept the New England Patriots in my top 5, right ahead of Buffalo. I mean, up until they blew that game, they were probably one of the better teams in the league. Drake May and Trayvon Henderson is now running the rock the way he does. I mean, he did have a couple of good long runs for touchdowns against Buffalo. So I couldn't completely not punish New England and kick them out of my top 5 after that loss. But they have to, hopefully they learned their lesson. As I mentioned yesterday in the show, New England learned a lesson from Buffalo. Remember, this New England team, they knew to win it. This is not Tom Brady Patriots, Bill Belichick. This is Drake May Patriots. They knew to win. They ain't been winning the last few years. So they knew to this. Most of that team, they're new to this winning thing. So now they know. When you have a team, especially a team that a lot of people think is a Super Bowl contender, and you have them down like the Patriots had the Bills down, you don't let up. You go for the jugular. You step on their necks and you twist. And you twist and you keep twisting until their neck snap. Or until you hear that gun at the end of the game to end the game. Patriots learned that. Especially against the Bills, you got to play 4 quarters. You can't just play a half and be content. You got to go all out for 4 quarters. Because as long as Josh Allen is upright and breathing and throwing the rock for the Bills, they're going to be in every game. They're going to be in the game. And you got to play it out. Don't let up. I think New England learned that lesson. And maybe, hopefully, it will aid them as the playoffs arrive. We'll find out. But I kept them at number 4 in my Power 5. Next, I got the Denver Broncos staying pat at number 3. You can't argue with the success. Can't argue with it. 1-11 road. They're virtually unbeatable at home. I mean, they took out Green Bay at home. I mean, they beat everybody at home. They're just tough. And why are they tough? It ain't because of Bo Nix. It ain't because of Sutton. It's because they got a very tough defense that get after you. I believe they lead the league in sacks with 58. I believe they're on pace to break the record for team sacks in a season that was set way back by the 1984 Chicago Bears. I believe the record was 78, 60-some sacks. I got to look it up. But they on pace to do that. They have 58 sacks. They get after the QB. And You can't argue with the results. And you got to applaud Sean Payton. He's turned that team around with I call it a minimum offense. He doesn't have like he had in New Orleans with Drew Brees and Kamara and all that. He don't have that in Denver. He has Bo Nix and a bunch. I call him a bunch of substitute teachers, but he does. But look at the results. The 12-2 have clinched the playoff spot. They probably, if they win one more game, I believe they win one more game, they won the division. And I don't think anybody saw that coming from the Denver Broncos this year. You can't argue with the results. They just keep doing what they do. And that defense is going to be a problem for any team that has to go to Denver. Because right now, Denver is fighting to get home field advantage. I think they win 2 more games, they got it. That means everybody got to go through Denver to get to the Super Bowl. And with that defense and that crowd in Denver, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a problem. I'm letting you know now. It's going to be a problem. But I got Denver as my number 3 in this week's Power 5. Number 2, I'll put the Seattle Seahawks. I kept them right there. Yes, they beat Grandpa. It wasn't by much, but Grandpa almost got him. But the Seahawks with their defense and Jackson Smith and Jigba, like I said, if Jackson Smith and Jigba does not win Offensive Player of the Year or not a strong candidate for NFL Offensive Player of the Year, man, something's really wrong. He is, in my eyes, he's the best wide receiver in the game today. Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's the best receiver in the game today. He catches anything you throw to him. All you got to do is just get in there and he'll catch it. Sam Darnold, he's not lighting it up like he did in Minnesota, but on this team, you don't have to. That's the thing with the Seahawks. On this team, you don't have to light it up. Just don't be the reason why you lose. You know, hey, they didn't light the scoreboard up against the Indianapolis Colts yesterday, but Sam Darnold and Jigba and that defense, they made enough plays to get them downfield to kick the game-winning field goal and spoil Grandpa's return. So they did what they needed to do to get the win. That's why I kept the Seattle Seahawks number 2. And I moved the Rams back to number 1. What can you say about this team? Now, I know the Puka Patua, I hope he gets healthy quick. And Devontae Adams. Hope they get healthy real quick. But this team got it all. They got offense, they got defense, they got special teams. This team will kick your ass if you let them. I am thoroughly convinced of that. If you got they don't get, if you even got them down, like the Detroit had them down. They were beating them. They didn't blink. Rams didn't even blink. All right, watch this. Come right back downfield on them. Boom, bam, boom, pop, boom. Next thing you know, Detroit's leaving out Los Angeles with a loss. They didn't blink. That's what I like about the Rams. You think you got them down? Okay, watch this. Boom, bam, boom. I mean, that's the Rams this year. You think you got it? Because I've seen them in games where they've been losing or not, either tied or losing at the half, and then boom, bam, boom, game over. Third quarter, boom, bam, boom. That's what I call the Rams, the boom, bam, boom Rams, because that's what they do to you. Boom, bam, boom, and next thing you know, you're looking up at the scoreboard like, what the hell happened? That's the Los Angeles Rams this year. Boom, bam, boom. Like, what? Yep. That's the Rams. Matthew Stafford, he should be league MVP. He should be in the running league MVP. The only one, he has thrown for more yards than anyone except Dak Prescott. He has 37 touchdowns. He's only been sacked 19 times. 19 times in 14 games. That means he's hit the ground maybe once a game. Maybe once and a half a game. Maybe. That's it. So you know your offense is going to be doing damage when you get that kind of protection from your offensive line. When your quarterback's not picking himself off the ground all the time. He got time to throw, and he's hitting the receiver. Couture, Adams, what can you say? That offense is virtually unstoppable when it gets rolling. Like I said, boom, bam, boom. Third quarter, bing, bam, boom. That's what they do. That's the Los Angeles Rams. You call them the boom, bam, boom Rams. Because they go boom, bam, boom, and make you wonder, what the hell happened? What? That's the Rams. And that's why I moved them right back to number 1 in this week's Power 5 rankings. Because boom, bam, boom. But that is my top 5 for the week ending week 15. What do you think? Did I leave somebody out? Was there a team that should be in my top 5 that I did not even consider? Well, there are a few. The Texans. They coming on strong. The Jaguars. They're coming on strong. What about the Eagles? They did pitch a shutout, even though it was against the Raiders. Should I put them in my top 5? Let me know what you think. Drop me a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe, but drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. Big O with the big mouth in the total sports ozone. All right, let's shift it up to college football. We got another college football playoff to preview. The next game in the college football playoff, according to the schedule, after Friday, got the Friday game between Oklahoma and Alabama. And then Saturday, we 3 games in a row. And the first game on the Saturday slate of the playoffs will be the Miami Hurricanes, who are the 10th seed, going into College Station to take on the 7th seed, Texas A&M Aggies. That game is scheduled Saturday, noon Eastern, 11 Central. Now, what do I think about this game? Well. Ah, man. Miami. I think Miami is a very, very, very good ball club. I think they are a very good football team. However, I am not certain about their defense on the road against top teams. Against top teams, I am not certain. I am not sold on their defense on the road. I am not. That, I think they're limited on defense on the road, even though they can be opportunistic, but they usually are opportunistic defense at home. If this was in Miami, I would feel a little bit better about their defense, but this is on the road. It's going to be loud. Kyle Field going to be rocking. You best believe that. Kyle Field's going to be rocking and rolling with 112, 113,000 people rocking and rolling. So I think their defense could be in trouble. Now, let's look at Texas A&M. The last two games, Texas A&M played at home against South Carolina and at home and on the road against Texas. They started off slow, real slow. Against South Carolina, they were down, 27 to 28, or something like that, to nothing before they could blink. Marshawn Reed he threw a couple of interceptions, and next thing you know, they were down like 3 scores, and it wasn't even at halftime. It wasn't even halfway through the second quarter. So they started off slow, and then they did it again against Texas. And that's the game that knocked them out of the chance of going to the SEC championship game. That is my concern with A&M, having slow starts. Last couple, like you said, last couple of games A&M has played, they've had slow starts. I don't think they can afford to have a slow start against Carson Beck and this Miami offense. Because if they get going, Carson Beck's a veteran. Y'all got to remember that. Carson Beck is a veteran. I do believe he did lead Georgia to a national title 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. So he's a veteran. He's a veteran in these playoffs. He knows what it's like. He has the experience. Nobody on Texas A&M has this experience. Now, I know they're at home. It's going to be loud, crazy, whatever, what have you. But Carson Beck, you can never discount experience. And Carson Beck, he's been through this. He knows what it's like. He knows the environment. I don't think he's played a playoff game on the other team's home field, but still, you still have to account for his experience. And Carson Beck has been through this. So he knows what's the deal. And I'm pretty sure he's telling his teammates, this is what we got to expect. This is what we need to do, especially when we're on the road in a very hostile environment. We need to do this, X, Y, Z. That's one thing I can say for Carson Beck. He is a true leader of the Miami Hurricanes. He's a true leader. And I'm pretty sure he's telling these guys, especially on offense, this is what we need to do. We need to do X, Y. If we want to win this game, we need to do X, Y, and Z. And then before that, we got to do A, B, C. So here's my key to this game. Yesterday, I said the key for Oklahoma and Alabama will be quarterback play. Today, this game, defense. Defense. Whoever team I'm going to say it like this. I'm going to put it out right there. Whichever team gets the most turnovers is going to win this game. Whichever team gets the most turnovers and puts their offense in positions early to score will win this game. I think they're evenly matched on both sides of the ball. But it's going to come down to turnovers. Now, I know what you're saying. Oh, man, anytime you turn the ball over, like, you're going to lose. But in this game, it's a lot more to that. Because, like I said, Miami's defense is not that great on the road. And they're going to be playing in probably the most hostile environment they played in all season long. I'm telling you, Kyle Field, playoff, that crowd is going to be crazy. And I don't know if their defense will be able to hold up. So they're going to need to get turnovers. They're going to need to get some interceptions, some fumbles, whatever. And they need to do that early to stop to stem the momentum and quiet that crowd. They need to if they can get some explosive plays on offense early to quiet that crowd, that'll be great. But I'm telling you, defensively, they need to get some stops and they need to get some turnovers, either fumbles, interceptions, whatever, to quiet that crowd and take the momentum early. Again, the team that wins the turnover battle will probably win this game. I'm not going to tell you today who I'm picking. We're going to leave that for Friday. Well, I'm picking Friday. But I'll just tell you right now, according to one of the sports books, we got the odds opening. A&M was opening at -4, and now A&M favorite by -3. Well, again, I'll let you know who I'm picking on Friday. But that's my key to this game. The turnover battle. It's whoever's defense can create enough turnovers to stem that tide, to stem the momentum and lead that momentum to their team will win this game. The winner of this game moves on to play Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl I believe on New Year's Eve. So, there you got it. That's my preview of the college football playoff game that will happen Saturday, Miami and Texas A&M. Tomorrow, we will preview the next college football game on the bracket, which will be, if I'm not mistaken, Oregon. No, which will be Ole Miss and Tulane. We will preview that game tomorrow. And then on Thursday, we will preview the last game on the Saturday slate of the playoffs, which will be James Madison and Oregon. All right. Before we go, NBA tonight, that little NBA Cup tournament comes to an end tonight, where we have the Spurs who upset the Oklahoma City Thunder in the NBA Cup semifinals. Will take on the New York Knicks for the NBA Cup. That game is tonight. I believe it's 8:30 Eastern. Might be earlier. Wow. These two teams are pretty good. Victor Wembanyama, he can be an all-time great, but he has got to stay healthy. And I wish somebody telling that young man to get in the gym and put some meat on them bones. That's all he needs. I think he needs just 10 more pounds. 10 more pounds, maybe 15. 10 more pounds, and he gonna be so dominant it ain't gonna be funny. He will be a problem if he can just add 10 more pounds. That's what I see out of Victor Wembanyama. He can be the dominant force in the league if he just add 10 pounds. Well, we'll see what he does tonight, because he will play tonight, coming back from injury, as the NBA Cup final hits tonight with the Spurs and the Knicks. And we'll talk a little bit about the Indian tomorrow. All right, Big O with the big mouth coming at you, saying it's time to go. Tomorrow, we're going to talk more college football. We're going to get into the NFL. I'm going to talk about teams who need new head coaches. I've already discussed one in length today. There's 3 or 4 others that need head coaches. We'll get into that tomorrow, right here in the Total Sports Ozone. See you.